Senator, we just have some breaking news in from our own Michael Schnell, who talked to Senator Thom Tillis and John Cornyn. And basically, they both say they don't have the votes. They don't think the vote is happening tomorrow to get Blanche out of committee. What's your reaction?
Well, my reaction to that is they're just trying to probably buy some time because they know that Blanche is uniquely unqualified for this job. John Cornyn himself, a former attorney general, he knows the job of attorney general is to be the lead attorney for, well, if you're in the state, for your state, or for the people of the United States. Todd Blanche wants to just please a party of one, and that's Donald Trump. And so I think they're trying to find a way out. Will they find it? But he must come out of committee first before he gets a vote. And
you know these men. How long do you think it will take them before, in your estimation, they will fold?
Well, you know, I think both of them are. That's a really good question, because I will tell you that they're both not coming back. Tillis, of course, retiring of his own volition. Cornyn, not so much. So what's going on behind the scenes? I'd like to be a fly on the wall on that one, too. But I do hope that they stand up for principle. We're going to talk about that vote. I got a little Senate magic today with the unanimous consent passed because no one was brave enough to block, or should have been, knew the red line in the sand, that you don't allow a convicted sex trafficker to ever be pardoned. And that's just one of the many reasons that Todd Blanche is not qualified to be Attorney General.
I want to, because I think that's a very important resolution since of the Senate. I want to talk to you, and I'm sure someone does too, about the teeth of that in a moment. But I do want to pick up on where Eugene was, because Simone and I had the question with the Roberts in the last segment. What the hell is the negotiation here? I don't understand what you're negotiating, whether you're talking about the survivors of Epstein, all right, or if you're talking more specifically about this slush fund, this grift by the administration on behalf of the Trump family. I don't understand what language you think is going to be miraculously signed off on by the president of the United States, who has to be a signatory to whatever they come to. So I don't know what Cornyn and Tillis are waiting for.
And will the president abide by his own signature?
No, he's not going to abide by his own signature.
And there's the rub.
So what are we doing here? So what is this delay? They can't get it out. They don't have the votes right now to get it out of the committee because of these two senators. Then that begs the question, will they have the votes on the floor when it gets to the floor?
Maybe they hope it pushes it to September.
So to help us understand, because when I look at what these folks are talking about, going after one of their own, and Mike, in this whole August recess, effort to sort of, well, we're going to stay here, and the majority don't need to stay here. There's no work. So I don't understand, what are we negotiating here?
I don't understand what we're negotiating either, because they're negotiating to try to find some way to justify a totally unqualified person, a person who absolutely bungled the Epstein files, says himself that he is the president's lawyer, not the lawyer for the United States of America. And so are they just trying to find some way that they can justify a vote to please the president? Why they want to please the president, they're going to have to answer that one. And maybe they think it will just get passed off till after September, and it might be a different set of circumstances then.
You know, I just don't believe in passing out cookies, cupcakes, pats on the backs, or claps for people who can't even do the bare minimum. And Senator Tillis, he had been very strong on a number of, and outspoken and just very frank about a number of things. But on this, I feel as though that they're posturing, and I agree with you, Senator. I think it's just they're trying to get an excuse. They're going to say, oh, look, we got DOJ to sign this thing. Now we're going to go vote for Todd Blanche. Nothing is going to change. I just feel like this conversation, for me, is not divorced from the election pieces. Because Todd Blanche, if confirmed, and even if he's not confirmed, as Michael Steele has often noted, he'll be acting at least through this election.
That's right.
And I am very concerned about what this administration and what this Department of Justice is going to be willing to do in advance of and even after these elections. If the president doesn't get his SAVE Act, which it doesn't seem like he's going to get it.
There's no votes for that.
There's no votes for the SAVE Act, but do you think that's going to stop him or that Department of Justice?
I want to get back first to the concerned Republican caucus. They're so concerned, and then after they're concerned, they're so surprised that they're fooled. Well, it's nobody's first, none of these folks are freshmen. So the concern and then the surprise oh my goodness, how many times can you play that game? And so is that where they're at now? I'm not sure. You're going to have to wait and see. But the SAVE Act, there's not the votes for it. What temper tantrum will Trump have to try to get that done? He can have a tantrum all he wants. There are no votes in the Senate to bust the filibuster. You heard Leader Thune say that himself. Mike Lee can say whatever he wants that we can stay. There's nothing to stay for. You cannot make the votes happen if they aren't there. And I tell you, he's got colleagues that need to campaign all across this country. A few of them might be in a little bit of trouble and worried about their election, and you think that they want Mike Lee to keep him here, looking at him give a speech about the SAVE Act every day? Asking for a friend.
They're also in trouble because of Trump, right? Like he has given them nothing to run on over and over and over again. They can't even run on and say that Republicans passed and signed a bill for housing because he wouldn't sign it because he was running against it.
So he can't go out there, I'm giving you housing, because he didn't even sign it. And so Trump, every day he looks in the mirror and says, what pleases me, that's what I want to do. And he tells everyone around him, all the enablers, this is what I want, you'll do what I want. And they do it. And so the whole point of this is that there's absolutely nothing for them to run on. And even worse, they enter into a war that people have died, people are injured. It's not going anywhere. Iranians know they can just churn it through. They have nothing but time. They're just going to poke the bear and irritate Donald Trump. And it's going to cost us all at the gas pump, at the food. You think diesel fuel goes in trucks and trains and in our farming equipment, not to mention the fertilizer. That's always at least $1 more than regular gas. So everything that you eat, everything that you buy gets either grown, shipped, or trucked or trained in this country. So everything is going up, tariffs on top of that. And so instead of looking in the mirror and thinking, what can I do for others, looking outside the mirror, looking around, he only looks at himself and only cares about pleasing himself. And that's why we're going to win in the midterms, because every one of his enablers are only about pleasing Trump and not worried about families in their community who are hurting.